What's going on, casters? Dylan from Pandito Gaming, and today we're going to give 10 tips that every collector in Elestrals should know. Now, this isn't all the tips that you need to know. That kind of video would take way too long. But we're going to go through 10 interesting facts that I think pretty much anybody who is collecting within the Elestral space should be aware of. Let's get into it. So, first of all, we are going to get into the booster boxes that have been created so far, and specifically, which booster boxes have sold better than others. So, if you go to the Elestrals website, you'll notice that only Sunstrike is sold out. Sunstrike is the only box that has ever sold out on Shop Elestrals. The only other box to not currently be available on Shop Elestrals is the Kickstarter box, which was never available on there to begin with. So, it's the only one that you'll have to look elsewhere for. Now, the biggest reason for why Sunstrike is sold out on Shop Elestrals is because its distribution was handled differently than all of the others. It was primarily sent through distribution rather than going through Shop Elestrals so that more stores could get hold of the product and get it out to people. So while Shop Elestrals might be sold out of Sunstrike, Shop Elestrals will likely sell out of Snowshade. They have more or less given a lot more boxes to other stores to sell. So it's still accessible to find outside of Shop Elestrals. The other booster boxes, Firestorm is the closest one to selling out with a few hundred boxes left. Every other set that is on Shop Elestrals has at least a couple thousand boxes left. Will they put those on sale, similar to how they've done with Frostfall and Daybreak? Or will they just let them ride out and eventually sell out at the $130 mark? Is still yet to be seen. But there are still many copies of every box other than Sunstrike and Firestorm still sitting on Shop Elestral's website. Next, we're going to get into some interesting facts about Shattered Stars. So the longest set to ever sit on Shop Elestrals, which is the only website that will sell Shattered Stars chapters 1, 2, and the one set of Shattered Stars 3, is currently the Capricorn bundle, the water bundle. This set was released in January of 2025. So it is currently sitting on roughly 19 months, 20 months of being available. No other set has lasted longer than that. Sagittarius was the next one that lasted as long, having been released a month before that and just selling out last month. There has never been a set that's lasted more than 2 years from Shattered Stars 1 or 2 that has been on Shop Elestral's website. Capricorn is currently sitting at under 1,000 bundles left, so there's a pretty good chance that it sells out before the end of the year, with the expectation that around Black Friday there might be an additional sale added on top of the SS BOGO, encouraging more people to buy them. If that happens, we may end up in a world where no set of Shattered Stars was ever available for more than 2 years at a time, which is more than can be said for a lot of games. Interesting fact as well, the only two cards that have ever taken an extended period of time to be pulled, serialized cards, are the Cryoscorch box topper from Frostfall and the Chronodial box topper from Daybreak. Now, A-Drive has created videos on why that likely is, having those boxes increase in print run up to 25,000 boxes compared to the next closest sets, which are closer to the presumed 12 to maybe 15,000 for some of the Divine Champion sets. It's just significantly harder to pull these. And especially in Frostfall, with the idea of batching more than likely affecting where these cards are sitting, there's a good chance that they're sitting around the same boxes, just sitting in the back of the warehouse. Let's talk about serialized card pull rates. So Kickstarter has a well-established print run where there were 10,000 booster boxes. Now, we don't know the exact number of blisters that came out, but doing some quick math, if you assume that there are 10,000 boxes and 8 different serialized stellars that can appear in them with 99 copies, there in theory should be a roughly 1 in 13 return rate for pulling those stellars. Now, obviously with the blisters, that becomes a little bit worse, and there's another fact that we'll get into a little bit later that makes it a little bit worse as well. A Drive is going on record, I believe, saying that the pull rate is roughly 1 out of 17 boxes. Uh, my first serialized stellar took over 20 boxes to get to. Some people pulled them on their first box. It's odds, uh, pull rates, they work differently. But if you're opening Kickstarter, expect a roughly 1 out of 17 box rate for that, which mathematically, if you were to calculate that out per pack, is roughly 1 out of 600. Now, Frostfall is significantly harder. Now, they added an extra two serialized stellars in the booster boxes for this set, but with a print run of 25,000 boxes, ignoring blisters and packs that came in starter decks, that would give you roughly a 1 in 25 chance of pulling a serialized stellar in a booster box. Now, obviously, with the batching, where a lot of boxes had two serialized stellars, with complexities where you run into accounting for the blister packs, this rate is probably closer to 1 in 50 or even higher. So opening Frostfall is significantly harder to pull serialized stellars. And with the same news, you would expect Daybreak would be a similar, very difficult pull rate for serialized stellars. Now, from a per pack basis, Shattered Stars has always been the best way to pull serialized stellars. Obviously, these packs cost more, and their print run is significantly reduced in comparison. But in general, there were somewhere between 10,000 and 20,000 packs of every Shattered Stars month generated, with 99 copies of the X of 99 serialized stellar. That means you're roughly between a 1 in 100 and 1 in 200 pull rate for pulling a serialized XF99 card from Shattered Stars. That means that it is your best option if you want to pull a serialized card. Even with the increased price, it is still a better rate for your money if you want to hunt a serialized stellar. Speaking of serialized stellars, one of the coolest ways to get a serialized stellar is the idea of a divine pack, or a god pack as they call it in other TCGs. A divine pack is a pack that is just loaded with hits. In Firestorm, they introduced a divine pack that had a copy of every reverse stellar, a random stellar, and one of the unique Flammoth cards that you could only get in divine packs. In Livestream, they did a similar thing where the unique card was Baraboss. Unfortunately, in Sunstrike, they duplicated the unique stellar in God packs, and it was also included in regular packs as well. So the Phosphocell Ultracharged card, unfortunately, has 198 copies instead of just 99. That means this card and the other card that is in Divine packs are not as rare as every other stellar. Now, you may not know this, that there were actually Divine packs as well in the Kickstarter edition. These are really hard to find information on online. But in Kickstarter, you had a Divine pack that had every Divine full art and two stellars inside of it. So these did not have any unique stellars in them, but there were, I believe, only 10 of these that existed in the Kickstarter boxes. So if you open a Kickstarter box, you might be surprised with some really big hits. Before Kickstarter, there were prototype runs. There were several different prototype runs. There's different types of them. I'm not going to get into that in that video. That might be its own whole thing. But alongside those prototypes came a lot of unique prototype promos. Two of those were the Hydrake that came in the blister packs with the original run alongside the booster boxes, and the Halloween Pandason card. Honestly, my personal favorite promo that Elestrals has ever done. A little biased on that, but these cards had a very short print run, and while they were not serialized, I believe Hydrake is officially published as having 50 copies, and Pandison is not that much more, being also in the double digits, I believe. The last fact that I have for you is that there is a very unique error card that showed up a lot early on. When I say a lot, I mean there are only around 5 confirmed cases of this where you could get a fully white card. Now, there's 2 different variants of this where you have a white card on both the front and the back, and there's a more common version where you have a white front with the actual Elestrals back on it. Um, this mostly occurred in Frostfall, although I believe one of them was found in base set as well. This was just a factory error where they just didn't print anything on the card and it somehow managed to show up in the pack. It's very interesting and fun. So that's all the tips that I have for collectors, and hopefully these were interesting. That you found some information on it. Maybe this made you want to get some of these cards or hunt some serialized sellers. Let me know which fact you thought was most interesting. Was there anything you didn't already know? Are there facts that I left off that I should be including? Let me know in the comments. Appreciate you watching. That's all I got.